Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson, Mississippi. Hello, this is Bobby Sampson.
Yeah, you better hit it. I mess around and put you back to start.
In the concerns of our city, county, and the state. I firmly believe in fairness and justice for all of us citizens. I am working hard to provide legal help for
Jim,
those in need.
just fold that up. Fold that up, just slide it in that window for
I
me.
will fight
Okay.
for your
Just slide it in there, just lay it on the side.
I am dedicated to provide you and your loved ones with top-notch legal support. For more information, please call 1-202-6027 for legal help when it matters most. Again, that's 601-202-6027. Ali Shamsuddin, attorney at law, a proud underwriter of WMPR 911.
Extend our olive branch to you, standing for the people with your host, attorney Ali Shamsuddin, and guests heard every Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. exclusively on 911 FM WMPR. This program shall focus on facts that we share with each other on this platform designated to inform, educate, and organize our communities in Jackson and abroad. No rational comments or opinions are regarded as being irrelevant, as your comments and participation could prove to be the cornerstone of our goal, being to restore moral ethics, integrity, respect, and progress, and efforts to reach for a better future in all aspects of the everyday lives of our family and our children. We now join your host, Ali Shamsuddin, and guests, bringing to you Standing for the People, where together we can heard exclusively on the voice of the community, 911 FM WMPR.
Good evening. Good evening. It's 7 p.m. Wednesday. That means this is Standing for the People, and I'm Ali Shamsuddin. As I say, this program is always brought to you by the people. That is, people who got together and decided that we need a program on again, like I used to do with Mr. Tisdale, the publisher of the Jackson Advocate newspaper, who has gone on to his reward. Jackson Advocate being the largest African-American published medium in the state. That's the Jackson Advocate newspaper. Mr. Tisdale and I used to do the program Views from the Black Side on Friday nights. And now I'm doing this program, Standing for the People, on Wednesday night. And as I always say, this program is about facts. We talk about facts. We're not here to talk about gossip. We don't want to know what anybody's doing in their personal lives unless it affects how they're spending our money. That is our tax money. Outside of that, we want information that we can use, that we can benefit from, that we can make our lives better. You know, we try to make us remember, because the fact is we have been putting ourselves in office, and when I say ourselves, I'm talking about African Americans, in office here in Hinds County, in Jackson, and in Hinds County and Jackson, not so unusual than a whole lot of other counties around the state, where we as African Americans have been able to take charge of the political structure in those areas. Now here in Jackson and Hinds County for the past almost 30 years, we have been in charge. And we had every right as a people to believe that things were going to get much better for us here in Jackson and in Hinds County and in our schools. Unfortunately, we didn't follow through because we knew to the endeavor, and that is we felt that if once we start putting African Americans in these positions of authority, that things were automatically going to start getting better for us, particularly here in Jackson and in Hines County in our schools. And as we've seen, it's been just the opposite. And the main reason behind that is just the fact that we put people in office who acted as if we put them there for them to get rich, for them and their friends, regardless of the impact or effect that it had on the city as a whole. I'm talking about all of us citizens in this city, black, white, and whatever, in the Hines County. You know, and now we're suffering under that neglect. And basically that's been what it is. This is a call-in show. I've had some good calls, last week and the week before that, 601-948-5950. And we try to get a fix on what we need to be doing at this point in time. Now, it's really not that difficult, I think. You know, first of all, we got to register and we got to vote. But then after we vote, we got to monitor the people that we put in office. And I'm not saying that from a negative viewpoint. I'm just saying that's just common sense and that's the way life works. You know, there's an old adage that says power corrupts. Power corrupts. And then when you put people in these positions, they find that they're in charge of all this money, that is our tax money. And then they realize nobody's really watching the bank. For instance, it's a known fact. We haven't had an audit here in the city of Jackson in about 3 years. How can you say you broke if you don't even know what's in the bank, in the account? Or what bills have been paid and what bills have not been paid? That's what audits do. They let you know that information. And some people start throwing around, we $50 million in the debt. How do you know if an audit hadn't been done? I mean, that's just common sense. But it's time out for the people with the authority, whether they black, white, whatever, speaking to us as citizens, and particularly us as African-American citizens, as if we just cannot comprehend logic. As I've said many times, you know, we're not dumb. We're not stupid. We've been uninformed. We've been ignorant. And they've taken that and just run with it. They think that they could just get away with and do anything with our money and then tell us anything. So we got to put an end to that. And the only way we do that is we monitor. How do you monitor, Shamsuddin? So going to these meetings, I applauded the Hickman Johnson and his group, church group went over to the legislature last week just to let them know we here. Those type of things. I'm not talking about going anywhere, sitting in and marching and all like that. We ain't got to do that. But, you know, as the groups of people can go into these meetings that supposed to be open, as they're just discussing how they're going to spend our money and what how much money we got. And they have to do it in the open. They can't go around we're going to go into a closed session to talk about how we're going to spend it. They can't do that. Now, if they talk about personnel matters, that's a whole nother issue. But when they start talking about spending our tax dollars, they have to do that in the open. So that's what monitoring is about. That's what we talk about when we say monitoring. Because it's so important. It's so important that we do that. It's my friend Ceges. Brother Ceges.
Hey, brother.
I'm waiting to get your call, man. I'll tell the people this is Ceges Reed, a former classmate of mine. And I believe Randall Pinkston is with you, is he not?
Well, I'm trying to add him on. Be patient with me, and let me see if I can work this phone. I got him on hold.
In the meantime, you can go on and tell us about what's coming up in the 833 Nation.
Well, we got next Tuesday. at the game, we are trying to, we are going to recognize the basketball team, the young men and the ladies and the cheerleaders, and we're recognizing living legends again, as well as doing a drive for the Alumni Association.
Mm-hmm.
And according to my sources, the first, I believe it's 25 or so people will get free T-shirts who sign up to become members of the Alumni Association. So we're encouraging everybody to come out next Tuesday, that's February the 3rd, and enjoy and support the basketball team as well as the Alumni Association.
Now this gonna be in the Lanier's Athletic.
Here's the glove
Building.
if you need 'em.
Yeah.
Okay, February 3rd.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. And now Mr. Pinkston has joined us. Randall, are you there?
Yes, here.
So good to hear you,
Yeah,
brother. It's so good to hear you.
Oh, well, listen, it's my pleasure and it's an honor to be invited to participate. Thank you.
I have to tell the people, you know, that you are alumni of 833 as well. And man, I can tell you now, man, how I felt. I was living out in Seattle when I first saw you doing the news on national broadcast, man. I was turning flip.
Well, when people ask me how that happened, I ask them if they want the short story or the long story. And the short story is God.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
And the long story is a lot longer than you might have time to listen to tonight. But yeah, I mean, let me just see if I can give that some context and perspective. By that I mean, I was born in Yazoo County, Mississippi,
Mm-hmm.
on my uncle's farm in a shotgun house.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who could have predicted? And this is before I get to Jackson, mind you. And in Jackson, I'm living in a house that costs $9 a week. My granduncle's dad, who raised me, and my granduncle mom, who was ill and really couldn't work, but they infused me with the love of God, hard work, discipline, hope, faith, determination, positivity. Mama used to say, don't cost you nothing to smile, don't cost you nothing to speak. And it amazes me that people walk past you these days and just act like they're mad all the time. You know, but anyway,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
but who could have predicted from that shotgun house in Yazoo County, Mississippi, on a farm owned by my uncle and aunt, Magnolia and Thornton Miller, that I would someday end up as a White House correspondent on a national network? Who could do that?
Right.
So that's why I say God. Yeah.
We like to say too that's that 833 Nation and those teachers that we had over there too, brother. And I remember you from the year you was a class ahead of me, I believe it was, but you were always an honor student. I remember that.
Wait, hold up. I got to correct you. I was not on the honor roll at Lanier. Let me tell you why. We're gonna get off with a story right away.
Okay.
And in 11th grade, I was the president of the student council.
I remember.
And the activity period was either just before or just after one of my electives, which was actually my only elective, which was typing. I was in Miss Hughes' class. And many times I would get class late, and sometimes I think I missed class, and Miss Hughes dropped a D on me. And if you got a D, you couldn't be on the honor society.
Right.
So my home teacher, Fess Wilson, Charles Wilson, went over and shall we say,
Negotiated.
advocated on my behalf with Mrs. Hughes, and she wasn't having it. And she said, "Well, no, that's just great." So that D sticks on my transcript to this day. So I was not on the honor society. But,
now that's some information that's been out there undercover for a long time, bro.
but that was the only D I ever got from Smith Robertson to Rowan to Lanier.
Mhm.
And that was misused. So, but she taught me how to type. ASDF semicolon. Come on now.
Well, brother, after graduating and going to college way out there in Seattle, and I was just watching the news one evening, and then there you popped up, and I said, I know that guy. And of course, we weren't calling you Randall back then, but I said, I don't know that. I do know that guy, Randall P.
Well, yes, sir. Well, I tell everybody that, so as I said, I was born in Edgewood County, and my mother, who's still alive now, and all of my relatives, they call me Randall, and I didn't know that my name was William until I was about 4 or 5 years old. Of course, when you get to school, everybody uses your first name.
Your first name, right?
Actually, some of my teachers use my last name. So to this day, my wife, with whom I have been in school since, we went to school together in 2nd grade, she calls me Pinkston. And a lot of my friends call me Pinkston. So I say, well, if you can't deal with the Randall and you think I changed my name, which I didn't, just call me Pinkston. So everybody knows Pinkston.
Well, again, but it's good to hear you. And you and CJ's going to tell us some of these events that's coming up. And CJ, I'll let you go. I'll turn it over to you at this point.
Okay. Well, aside from that up and coming basketball game, we do have a few things, but for the sake of time, if you will allow me, I want to get to the core of our intervention, our call for your listening audience. And this is in follow-up to Lanier's 100-year celebration. And like I said, when I came on the air 2 weeks ago, we did the best that we could do, but we didn't do all that we could do, and there was a few omissions. And I'll be the first to stand and say, charge the mistake of not having you entered into that video that we developed. Charge that to my head and not my heart.
Mm-hmm.
So Pinkston and I have resolved that we are going to make some addendum to that video. And I thought, what better way to do that than to start with you and to have a online interview, because I don't know that your listening audience really know who you are, all about who you are. I mean, they know that you're a judge, Shamsuddin. They know that you speak up for the people and that you're a people's person. They may know that you're from Georgetown, but I think from this line of questioning, and that's Pinkston's pretty much his bailiwick,
right,
is to interview and ask questions. So that's what we're prepared to do. If you will yield a few times to the gentleman from New Jersey that's on the line.
The gentleman from New Jersey by way of Yazoo County. So Judge, let me just start at the beginning. Tell me about your family. Your parents, your siblings, a little bit about yourself.
Oh, well, yeah. I began off of Ferry Street over there, right in front of People's Funeral Home. There's a little place, they call it Leonard Court now, but we used to call it Leonard Street. We started out over there, and we was fortunate to move over into Georgetown. Georgetown was just kind of developing at that time. And
What year?
That year was 57, I believe it was, 57. The streets over there were still gravel.
Exactly. That was the year that Johnson Elementary opened, and Ali and I were the first among the first graders.
That's right.
To attend Johnson Elementary.
Johnson, brand new school. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
when you moved to Georgetown, what street did you live on?
Fernwood. Right now, it's called Edward Mullins. And that was the one of the benefits that we had, if you recall, over in Georgetown. I live right down the street from Edward Mullin, who was the principal of the elementary school where we went. Buckley, L.B. Buckley,
Oh,
the principal of Lanier, he lived over on the next street, of one block over. The school was in between us. And Horace Jones, one of the teachers, lived right up the street, and Miss Bradford. So we were fortunate in that community. A lot of our teachers lived right there in the community with us. So I saw that. I learned that was really a plus because they treated us, they kept an eye on us, and they took a special interest in us, and that was a good thing.
now, do you remember when you decided you were going to go to college?
I to be honest with you, Brother Randall, I can't remember when I didn't believe I was going to college, and that's because I was raised by my grandmother. She was my grandfather passed on my matter of fact on my 5th birthday, but my grandmother raised myself and a cousin and a brother, 3 of us by herself, and she was crippled. But she always planted in our mind that you're going to college. That's just it. And it was amazing to me, Brother Randall, when I graduated from Lanier, and I talked with some of my friends, you know how we talk, and I said, well, what you going to do when you graduate? And it just amazed me that someone would say, I'm not going to college. They would say, I'm going to work or something. I just saw you graduate high school, you go to college.
The senior year at Lanier, I know that the counselors, Lord, I'm writing their names now. I can see their faces.
Horace Buckley was one. Horace Buckley
was one, but there were these 2 ladies. Miss Gibson. Miss Gibson, yes, and there was another one too. There were 3 back there, but they were the ones who put those posters up on the bulletin board, you know, with the applications that you had to put in and all of that. Did any of them interface with you, Brother Ali?
They did. I think it was Miss Gibson who I think had impact on me as far as looking toward college. But you know, to me, as y'all know, our teachers always try to instill in us reach for the best, for whatever. You know, you mentioned Fess Wilson, you know, what his thing was, do it right or not at all, you know, type of thing, you know. That was just the way they dealt with us.
Well, let me just focus this for a second on Lanier. Do you remember your homeroom teachers in your senior from 10th to 12th grade?
Senior, I was in Miss Young, or 10th grade, 11th grade, Miss Norwood, and let's see, 12th grade. And it's kind of odd that I don't quite remember the 12th grade homeroom teacher.
Well, let me just for those of our 833 Nation listening, we had so many wonderful teachers at Lanier.
Absolutely.
And even the ones who were not your teachers were your teachers, if I can offer that. I remember Miss Shirley, Miss Stewart, Miss Lydia K. Johnson, Mrs. Dow,
Miss Mason,
Fess Wilson, Professor Smith, Smith.
Mr. Harris.
Goodness, Mr. Harris. Don't you call that man that. Mr. R.B. Harris. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
He was a brilliant teacher.
And he just triggered my mind because Mr. Harris was my homeroom teacher in the 12th grade. Seegers, you were in my room in the 12th grade.
Yeah, you were there with us. I was there, Mr. Harris. I wasn't gonna steal your thunder, but and we can't forget the Hollies and Miss Sam.
My goodness.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, Miss Naomi Sams and Mr. Kermit Holly Jr. And of course now L.T. Smith and Miss Smith, who there were 2 Smiths. One was Ida and Dan Smith's father. He taught shop, I believe.
Sure, sure did.
Can't remember his first. Well, maybe his name was Dan. I can't remember his first name. But
And I'm gonna get us all out of trouble by naming this name, Miss Grace Baton Sweet.
No.
oh yeah,
Absolutely.
Now Miss Sweet, let's I say who were our teachers. She was in the junior high school section of Lanier, and I did not have Miss Sweet for a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned that I grew up across the street from where she grew up, although some years separated us, on Church Street.
Right.
She was raised by her uncle after her parents had passed. Her uncle was one of the few licensed plumbers, Mr. Perkins. And that's where she grew up, on Church Street. And she wrote a book called Church Street, the Sugar Hill of Jackson. And I highly recommend that for anybody who wants to know a little bit about our past. But back to you, Brother Ali. So now you go to college. Now, how do you remember what colleges you applied to and how you ended up way the heck out on the other side of the country?
Yeah, now that's a point. As we speak about Miss Sweet, I was in the Outward Bound program at Tougaloo. I was fortunate enough to get selected to be in the Outward Bound program. Miss Sweet was a teacher in the Outward Bound program, so that's why I had more of my interaction with her as a teacher. But as a result of being in the Outward Bound program, recruiters were coming to Tougaloo, recruiting students to go off to college. That was the goal, to take Southern students, disadvantaged students at that, and I fit that mold, to go to northern schools. And quite a few of us went to schools in north. And the school that was selecting for myself, and I was fortunate enough to go with 4 other young men who were in the graduates of Lanier, Joe Brown, Maurice Head, Elijah Burks, and Billy Dunston. We all went out to Seattle as a part of this recruitment. And I'm happy to say that out of the 5 of us that went out there, 3 of us did graduate. Joe Brown came back home, and myself and Elijah Burks and Maurice Head, we did graduate out there. And during that time, that's what we started talking about. That we'll start saying we're in the revolutionary era. That was right wrapping up to what they call the civil rights era. Matter of fact, our first day on campus, there was a riot. But that's why I got a lot of my political education out there at the University of Washington. And oddly enough, and I think the 2 of you will relate to this quite well. Growing up, I never had a conversation with a white person. Never had a conversation with a white person. That is, how you doing? What's your name? That type of. Never had and anytime the white people came through our community, of course, they were being malicious. Needless to say.
Or they were collecting money.
Or they were collecting money, right? So exactly. And so here we are out here in Seattle, at the University of Washington, 35,000 students, most of them white. The 4 of us, 5 of us, and thrown in here. It was a culture shock, of course. And as I say, a lot of times, even the Black people out there were amazed at the things that they read about. And they said, well, is it really like that? Do you really have to ride on the back of the bus? And say, yes, we do. Do they make you take a test to vote? Yeah. Do they? And what? So the absurdities of the things that we were dealing with, people just couldn't believe it. But it was fact. It was fact. So that was quite an education for me.
Now, I won't say recently, but as you undoubtedly know now, at one point, Washington State if I'm not mistaken, legally barred black people. I mean, it was a very intensely segregated situation out there. A lot of people don't know about those kind of racial restrictions that didn't really evaporate until World War II, when they needed
Yeah.
workers, skilled workers for the war effort.
Right.
Did you encounter any of that when you left campus, Brother Ali?
Yeah, what, particularly around Seattle, you got the naval base out there, and you got Fort Lewis out there in Tacoma, which right there is Seattle. So there's a lot of military activity out there. And that's when a lot of black people start transferring out there, moving out that way, or being drafted and sent out that way. And yes, black people were, that was a different type of racism out there. Like they were afraid of black people because of all the things that they heard. It was like it wasn't so much a vicious racism that we experienced in the South. It was like a fear type of thing, or just going along with the stereotypes. For instance, the unions out there in Seattle were very, very racist. It was hard. I worked for the Seattle Urban League, and one of the projects that we had was trying to get black people in the labor unions out there in Washington State. You didn't see, for instance, when I came back to Jackson and I saw black people driving these cement mixer trucks and these big 18-wheelers. They didn't allow black people to get, because everything out there is union. So if you couldn't get in the union, you couldn't get those type of jobs, or industrial type jobs. So it really stuck out to me when I came back here and I saw all you see is black folks driving these big trucks because they got paid less, of course, or working as a 18-wheeler driver, or some of these jobs that it took a union. Everything out there is union, everything. And so that was a different type of racism, but it was there.
So circling back to Lanier, and I, as you were saying, a lot of us from Lanier, and actually from Jim Hill to Brinkley too, and other schools in Mississippi, we were recruited to go north or west or east. And when I got up to Connecticut and Frank Benson, the two of us, class of 68, that's where we landed in college.
Right.
Some people had the impression that because we were from Mississippi, we weren't equipped to handle the academic rigor.
Exactly.
Now tell me about that. Did you see that? And also, let's just again salute our teachers, our administrators, not only from Lanier, but from the time we were in grade school, who got us ready for the world.
Right.
And we were able to compete with everybody, no matter where they were from. Now, we may not have had the same background, all of the classics and stuff that they had, and all of the language exposure, because we only had French and Spanish at Lanier.
Right.
But we were able to somehow compensate and make it. Now, tell me about your story.
Yeah. So, getting there and in a classroom, of course, I will be the only black person in the class. Sometimes those classes would be 300 students in one class, in the
lecture hall.
Right. And to see that they were no smarter, by and large, than I, I really commend the teachers that made us realize that, you got to get it. You got to be able to go out in the world and make it. And it surprised me because, to be honest with you, I thought that it was going to be really, really difficult. I thought it was going to be really, really difficult because I said, all these white people, they're going to see how dumb I am. But and now I'll share this with you. The first time in my educational experience that I made anything that was comparable to the honor roll was my first semester at the University of Washington. I made the dean's list.
Wow.
And he actually come from Mississippi, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And they were just, again, attributed to the type of training and education that we got at Lanier. Those teachers really understood because they had to face it, you know, every day.
To mention the Stidman, of course. Did you have the Stidman for
Okay, yes, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
You know, we learned how to conjugate verbs and man and splitting sentences and all of that stuff in Mississippi. And that's the other thing. People out of Mississippi. So you look at the so-called metrics, right? And Mississippi is always quote unquote at the bottom.
Right.
But that really doesn't describe the level of education excellence that so many of our teachers brought to the every day for hundreds and thousands of students through the decades. You being one example of that success story, me being another, Brother Cejas being another, and Sister Charlene, and you know, the Finley family.
Right.
We could just go on and on.
Right. But you know, but again, for those teachers who realized that the world was not going to give us anything, and we started out with strikes against us being Black and from the South, you know, people just dealt with us and wanted to deal with us in that way. But we were able to go out there and show the world, you know, that no, we're not stupid. We've been ignorant, but you know, in a lot of things. But you know, when we got out there and saw that we could compete, that really made me appreciate the schools. I mean, our teachers. Because again, they realized what we were going to be confronted with when we got out into the world.
So now, at some point, you were in the Army. Was that before or after law school?
That was before the law school. Actually, it was after college. Several years after college, as a matter of fact, I decided to do that the military experience, which it turned out well. I was actually a reporter in the Army. I was at public relations, and that was my field in the Army. So that was exciting to me.
What did you join, and where was your training?
Fort Knox, Kentucky, and Fort Benjamin Harrison, which they have closed now. That was in Indianapolis, Indiana. But Fort Knox is where it began.
So you were public information officer for who? For what unit? For what? I don't know. I'm not military, so I don't want to use the wrong terminology, but you tell me.
Yeah, well, that would be all the areas that we would be assigned to, whatever they were, because we had to keep the rest of the military informed of what is going on within the military. So, you know, whatever unit it was, you know, if it was, let's say, the Rangers, the paratroopers, I got to fly in the planes with them. If they were out in the field, I had to do that, or whatever they were doing, you know, I had to be there to observe and to report. So that was exciting.
Now, was this Stars and Stripes or something different?
It was different. It was different. Stars and Stripes is kind of like an independent media source.
Okay. And how long were you in service?
3 years.
Okay. And now, at what point did you decide to go to law school?
After coming back to Jackson, I got involved with real estate, and I was fortunate to start a company with another young man, brother, and we were doing quite well in land development. Matter of fact, there are several apartment complexes around Jackson that my company built, and we bid on the brickwork for the MDHS building out on Mega Evers, that building out there. My company put all the brickwork in there, you know, And when I became politically active, what they call a community activist, everything shut down. You know, sometimes people think that I'm exaggerating, but that's with my business. Banks stopped dealing with me. I had to experience as my company was closing out. I got my final tax return check for my company, and no bank in Jackson would take it. No,
What? They wouldn't
wouldn't
accept.
accept
You talking about a federal tax return check was rejected by Deposit Guaranty, First National, First National, and the rest of them.
you name it. None of them would take it. And this is because the word was out. I was a radical activist. And so, you know, I began to learn the type of, fortunately, I didn't have to pay the ultimate price as a Medgar Evers or a Damon, a Vernon Damer, who gave their lives.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and even now, you know, they have their ways of trying to make you know we watching you. But some things just have to be said, right? No, some things just have to be put out there because we have to do better. We got to.
Earlier tonight, in fact, maybe about an hour before your program began, I was very pleased to be able to watch Angela Davis at Tupelo.
Uh-huh.
And she at one point made a brief reference to a harrowing experience in her young academic career when she was accused of 3 capital crimes
Right.
that were associated with the Black Panthers. And those capital crimes, had she been convicted, could have, because California had the death sentence.
Right.
Sister girl could have been on death row. You know, thank
Right.
God she
Right.
rep, as we say.
Right.
But they didn't like what she was saying. They didn't like her ability to inspire others, to challenge the system, to speak. What does it say? Speak truth to power.
Speak truth to power. That is one thing that I learned in that, as you say that, brother, is that the powers that be, the ones that really feel that we don't have a piece of this American pie, as they call it, they don't care how you say it. The result that they bring to you is the same. And I give the example of Martin Luther King, who his strategy was nonviolence, because the strategy was to show the world how the white folks in the South treated Black folks who stood up for their rights. And that nonviolence, they lay down, let the world see the police beat them and kick them and drag them through the street and sick dogs on them. That was a strategy, but it was nonviolence. And then here comes Malcolm X. And he's saying, you know, by any means necessary, you hit me, you better watch out. And they killed him too. You see what I'm saying? So it didn't matter. It didn't matter how the message was said. They didn't like the message.
And still don't.
Still don't.
The other, as you're saying this about the sacrifices, the ultimate sacrifices that Martin and Medgar and Vernon and, you know, our white brothers and sisters, Aloysius and the Schwerner, and along with Brother Cheney, and even those who weren't killed but who suffered mightily, like Sister Fanadu Hamer. Anyway, those exemplars of courage in the face of physical threat, we're now seeing repeated in places like Minneapolis.
Exactly.
And a different issue, but when you challenge the system, when you challenge the party line, as you put your life on the line.
Right.
You put your life on the line. But on the other hand, if you don't challenge it, things don't get better.
Well, let me just Jake this, because I've been silent long enough that now he poked the bear. First of all, I'm happy to know, even beyond the interview, this is a podcast actually, and I'm regretting that I didn't do more I just been on the line and I just sent out a message to a couple of my friends to dial in to the station. But this is the kind of discussion that we need to start having.
Mhm.
Because what is going on in this country and Minnesota is a prime example when it goes beyond even just us.
Yes, sir.
To anybody that speaks out, regardless of race, creed, color, gender,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
And we are beyond where we've ever been in this country. People may not realize that, but this is the utopia of racism and discrimination right now, what we're facing today.
And they basically just changed, as you recall, Brother Caesar, I was discussing with you earlier. They've changed the complexion of the people who are really causing us the grief. And I know the two of you, as with me, remember, we went to school for 12 years and never stepped foot on a school bus while the white kids had a school bus. We didn't know that city kids had school bus. White kids had school bus. When we got our books, and we'll see a list of names on there year after year, and we wonder, who is this? I never met this person. And it was because the books we got were secondhand. We got our books after the white kids got their books. And I'm going somewhere with this stuff, because I want people to understand this. If we talk so much about Lanier, even the colors, maroon and white. Why are our colors at Lanier maroon and white? Because Central High School, the segregated white schools, colors was maroon and white. And we got their hand-me-down uniforms, whether they were choir, baseball, football, basketball, whatever. Their colors were maroon and white, and that's why Lanier's colors are maroon and white. Now, where I'm going with this, right now, today, I can recall standing in front of an elementary school here in Jackson, Mississippi, where we run everything. And they were replacing the air conditioning units on top of the Oak Park School out there in South Jackson, elementary school. And I went up to the guy, he was a white guy who's, of course, running the operation. And I started talking with him. He said, yeah, well, we changing these air conditioners out on this school. I said, oh, yeah, you are? He said, yeah, but they're not new. I said, they're not? He said, no, we're taking those from another school and bringing them over here. Now, here we are with Black folks running everything, and we're still getting secondhand facilities and materials. You see what I'm saying? We had to get accustomed to that. And even with our teachers understanding that, okay, although the school is not built as well as Provine, our kids don't realize that we couldn't go to Provine. This is the type of understanding that our schools should really be trying to teach us and our children to help them be better and teach the world, for that matter. How's someone going to respect you if they don't know what to respect you for? And I've watched that.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm sorry, Brother Caesar, you handed it over to me, and you know, in my past career as a reporter, the worst thing you can do is to give a reporter a microphone.
Brother,
we don't know how to let it go.
Brother, but again, I have to say, brother, that you represented well, man. I have to say that to you, man. Every time I would see you, I'm hey, he went to Lanier. Hey, he went to Lanier. Anybody I was around, you know, you represented well, brother Pinkston.
Well, I'm thankful, you know, I'm gonna have to. I'm up in years where we still have no power at our house. Thank God we got natural gas. So my 97-year-old mom doesn't have to be trying to, you know, find another place to go. But I got to get back inside. But let me just close out and say how thankful I am and grateful I am for the life that I was able to have, thanks to our teachers, all of them.
Yes.
Our parents, our family, our ministers. I went to Central Methodist Church initially. It became United Methodist for 9 years, and then My mom told me I had to go sit on the Mourners bench down there at Mount Helm. And Willie Peel and I joined church the same night. Willie Peel, another one there, alumnus.
Willie Peel, yeah. Tremendous baseball player.
We were baptized. Oh, and we were lifelong friends, and I went to his home going a few before last. But man, we just so blessed, and I'm so thankful, and I appreciate this opportunity to share some of your experience with your listeners, and of course a little bit of mine. And Brother Cejas, thank you for volunteering me to do these. You and Lee Bernard, y'all are some twisted fellas, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, Brother Kingston, look, you know how Lee sneaks up on you, man. Lee,
Lee Arthur, I know he listening, Lee Arthur.
Yeah, you know, I'm really, you know, and I can't forget our sisters, all of them who have also supported us. And
Right.
You mentioned Fernwood. I think Marion Fisher lives on Fernwood, right?
Yes.
With the Alexander, Ramon Alexander.
Every Sanders family, the Sanders family, yes, they were right across the street.
They also live on Fernwood. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, and I can't, you know, obviously can't mention everybody, but just know that you're all in my heart, and I'm just thankful to be part of the community. And I hope with the little time I got left that I can help move this thing a little bit forward. And what should we say, by any means necessary, although I'm not military.
Well, you know, those of us who still have in our mind, our heart, and understand what we had to go through, we can't allow those coming after us with this "Make America Great Again." We understand what that means. So I mean,
make it great again.
Right. So you know, we got to stand up and let things be for everyone like we always wanted it to be.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, gentlemen, with your permission, I'm going to sign off and get back in the house, and hope to have a conversation with you again in the not too distant future.
Yes, sir, Brother Randall. I appreciate you, man. This was a treat for me, and I'm glad people got a chance to hear your voice and know that you're back home.
Well, thank you so much. Oh, and by the way, if anybody saying, "Well, who is this fellow?" You can find some examples to this day of my old work, because I've been retired now for a little while. Online, you type in my name either in Google or YouTube or Yahoo, and you can find some stuff. And I will just say this: also, there's some articles about me. And there was a minister there, Reverend Newsom, L.H. Newsom, I believe was his name. And he used to come on radio on Sunday mornings on WOKJ. And I don't remember anything that he used to preach, but I remember one thing he used to say: "Don't believe nothing you hear, just half of what you see." Just joking. Okay.
and by the way, Reverend Newsom was the pastor at Progressive.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Which was 2 blocks over from me, from my church.
Right.
On Powell. And I just visited Progressive last week. My nephew and my great nieces go there. They were baptized there. Reverend Sutton is the pastor there, and they have a house full of 833.
They do, absolutely.
In the congregation.
Sure do.
Yeah.
And I claim Reverend Sutton is my cousin. We always say that. His dad used to say, we can. I say, okay, we so that's my cousin.
All right, gentlemen, I'm out, and I'll chat with you all further on down the road.
Okay.
Thank you, Brother Randall.
Thank you, brother. All right, Brother Ali, we out. And you carry on. I'll be listening in.
Yes, sir, brother. Appreciate you. See, as you know, I always do, man.
We'll talk soon.
Keep standing strong, brother.
All right. You too.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
That was Randall Pinkston and Cejas Reed, both of them 833 graduates who have gone out in the world and made names for themselves. But you know, that's just to show how we are about our school. But like Pinkston mentioned, Brinkley and Jim Hill, you know, they went through the same experience. Rowan, they went through the same experience. So we don't want to make anybody think that we're leaving them out. But you know, there's a lot of 833 pride around this city. I had intended to have another brother on the show tonight. Unfortunately, we've taken up most of the show right now. But that's brother Chris Jones. I had him on to speak on the show last week for a minute. And this is a brother who's bringing jobs, at least 200 jobs, to Jackson. But that brother Chris Jones, I had him on to speak on the show last week. Hey, David. And this is a brother who's bringing jobs, at least 200 jobs, to Jackson. But that brother Chris Jones, I had him on. That was Chris Jones, yeah. That was him? That was him. It was.
There is no call in the queue.
I was getting a lot of feedback. That's why I wanted to cut it off. Oh, is that right? If you hear me, brother John, please call back when we take these last few minutes, because I think it's so important what you're doing. And, you know, here we go. If that would be him. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, sir, I'm back on there with you.
All right. I'm sorry I cut you off there. But I think it's so important for people to know what you're trying to do here in Jackson. And you know, you can't underplay 200 jobs. That. But anyway, tell the people again a little bit about what you're doing, man.
Oh, hi there, everyone. Thank you so much for having me back on the show. Yes, a couple of weeks ago, we had an announcement where we were bringing over 200 jobs to the Metro Center area, where we're building a manufacturing plant behind the Metro Center that was going to produce styrofoam coated blocks for construction, and also a specialized concrete 8,000 PSI. And so we're pretty happy about that. We were going to announce that later on in the summer, but we had some other delays at the end of the year that caused us to accelerate that portion of our business model. And so we were happy to do that, and we're pretty excited about the prospect.
Well, is it in the plans to expand on your project here or your company here, let's say to expand on the number of jobs, for instance?
Oh, absolutely. The footprint actually calls for over 100,000 square feet. We initially would build 20,000 square feet. We applied with the city of Jackson to rezone that entire back corridor. About 15 acres will be manufacturing, light manufacturing industrial zones. So yes, we definitely plan to scale up from there. That's typically what happens in these situations. You build a scale. We've seen that in the past with even automotive companies where they might build a 1 million square foot facility, and then they might expand 3, 4, 5 times and expand their footprint. That's similar to our business model. We have to scale to that size. We cannot open up at that size, but it's conventional that you would scale from 20,000 square feet to 100,000 square feet.
Now, it's important for me that people know too that you are a Black man, that you are a brother, that you are in charge of a project such as this. Man, where are you from, actually? What?
I'm from Greenville, South Carolina. I've been traveling around quite a bit. I got involved with this particular company out of Atlanta, Georgia, about 4 years ago, where I was the CEO, and when I left, I took a lot of proprietary items for myself, and then I incorporated those items and got licensing in the UAE. And I decided after I came back to Jackson and had the whole issue with Metro Center to just move everything to Jackson, Mississippi. And yet we are expanding. We have another location that we're building out right now in Alabama.
and of course my hometown in South Carolina. We started in White Street in Atlanta, Georgia, on the East Coast. So we intend to have 4 to 5 locations that will cut down on our logistics, so we can keep our price points at a minimum.
Well, again, I'm so encouraged by, your attitude and even what your efforts to bring to Jackson, man. With everything moving out of Jackson, as you've probably seen, for someone to take faith in Jackson and the people here to bring 200 jobs to start with and plan to expand, brother. Kudos to you, man. And I hope you remain here and really get the help and support that you really need.
Well, thank you for that. And I just want to acknowledge the folks that came out and applied for those jobs. I was there the first day. I got to meet quite a few. I think I was only there for a few minutes the second day, but I believe we had over 2,500 people apply for 200 jobs. When I saw some of the, the credentials of some of the applicants, I was really impressed. Don't think for a second that just because the jobs aren't there, the people aren't qualified. We have more than enough qualified applicants to scale our business to everything we need. The folks came out. We don't want to disappoint. We are working diligently to fulfill our requirements there. But the folks that came out, I just got to tell them, thank you, thank you, thank you. We have such a great pool of qualified applicants to choose from. That's just been an amazing process.
Well, again, I want to tell you how much you are appreciated by those who understand exactly what you're doing, man. And stay with us. Of course, I'm going to be encouraging everybody to be as much help to you and your endeavor as we can, because one hand helps the other, and you're doing a great job, man.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much. Thanks so much.
I appreciate you calling back, and later on down the line, I want to have you in person on the show if we can, and we're going to expound on this.
Absolutely. We're planning to do that right away. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Thank you for calling in.
Yes, sir, Doc.
So we're going to wrap things up here this evening, but, we're going to make Jackson what Jackson can be. And as I'm saying, I have to end with this. I'm saying we're not dumb and we're not stupid. We've been uninformed. We've been ignorant, and we've listened to the okie doke, and it's time out for the okie doke. We want real progress. We don't want a bunch of sweet talk. So let us keep moving on, and I'll see you next. We'll be here next week, 7 o'clock, standing for the people. I'm Ali Shamsuddin. Take us out, Lady Cherie.